So Jamie, I understand this year Florida hunters are going to get a special opportunity again in September because after the 5-day teal and wood duck season, hunters are going to get an additional 4 days of teal-only hunting.
Yeah, that's right, Tony. Those 4 extra days right now are considered experimental. So the future of this opportunity really hinges upon Florida duck hunters to be able to harvest only teal during those 4 days. So it's really important that they know the difference between blue-wing and green-wing teal and other ducks, especially wood ducks.
Okay, let's talk about blue-wing teal. What are some characteristics that hunters can look for in this early migrant?
So just as the name would indicate, both the male and the female have these blue patches on their wings. The males have this white crescent on their head. That's a little bit more defined later on in the season. These are smaller ducks, and their flight pattern is best described as erratic. They are twisting and turning and up and down. They're not real straight line flyers, and they travel in flocks that are pretty sizable.
Okay, so let's talk about the green-wing teal. I guess like the name implies, don't both sexes have the green patch on their wings?
Yeah, if you know what you're looking for, it's really hard to miss these green iridescent patches on their wings, and they're generally bordered with white on both sides. The males, you can see they've got green in the head and chestnut all around it. That shows up better later in the season. The females tend to be a bit more drab.
You know, and from what I've heard, they have the same kind of flight pattern that the blue-wing teal do, the real erratic kind of flight.
Yeah, that's right. And the other thing to remember too is that they're a really small duck, even smaller than the blue-winged teal. Now let's talk about wood ducks now. They're really easy to identify. You've got a lot of different characteristics to look at. The males have the brightly colored heads and bills, and they've got that wine-colored breast. They've got the distinctive white throat patch. The females tend to be a little bit more drab, but they have a white ring around their eye that's a really good identifier.
And I think both sexes also have the crested head and the long, broad tail. And aren't they a little bit bigger than teal?
Yeah, that's correct. And if you check out the way they fly, they're a fast flyer, a straight line. They don't do a whole lot of twisting and turning like the teal do. And they generally tend to travel in smaller groups, you know, a couple, 3, 4, 5, not the bigger flocks like you would see in the teal. You know, Tony, ultimately it's the responsibility of the duck hunters to know the species before they pull the trigger. With proper identification, the duck hunters can do their part to make sure that these additional opportunities that we have during the early season are here to stay.
Well, Jamie, I think this has been a great way for hunters to be able to identify some of the ducks that they're going to see this September. But, you know, it's no substitute for getting out there and seeing wood ducks and seeing teal out in real life.